Being an engineer is basically being a lifelong learner. That's something people don't really realise when they get into this industry.
Hi guys, we're at Victoria Park. I'm Amos Mukombero and you're watching Local Insiders Digital Jobs. We spoke with digital industry professionals in Camden, Hackney, Islington and Tower Hamlets to understand their different pathways to finding digital jobs. Amos Mukombero in conversation with Beatrice Opara, presented by Lyft and Good Growth Hub.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Beatrice, everyone calls me B, and I'm an engineer.
Incredible. How would you best describe what an engineer does?
So an engineer is someone who codes websites, codes the back end, things you don't see, people who build iOS apps, Android apps, that kind of thing.
Tell me about your background.
It's a bit of a journey. So I started doing online courses. A course I did was with a company called Free Code Camp. And then I started going to evening classes called Code Bar and Code First Girls. And then I decided to actually go to a coding boot camp because I was just like, I want to do this like full time, just concentrate on this. And I went to a coding boot camp called Tech Switch, which was like 8 weeks. And then from there, that's kind of like how I got the ball rolling.
With kind of like the work that you've done so far, what has been a project that you've been most proud of?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of like creating features that people use on an everyday basis. So we recently launched something for like free users for them to kind of upgrade within the desktop application, and I was a person who was road managing the project. So yeah, that was something I'm really proud of.
What in that project did you have to manage?
People management, delegating tasks to individual engineers, speaking to stakeholders, making sure that we were kind of like communicating with them when the feature would be launched and if there was any kind of like delays, blockers, and just basically kind of like being the manager of the feature basically.
Tell me about your hobbies. Do your hobbies benefit the work that you do, or do they provide escapism for you?
So that's really interesting. So my hobbies do not relate to work at all. I'm a dancer and I also go to the gym. And one thing I love is the fact that I kind of get away from the desk movement and stuff of that nature. And I think it just helps me to be like a well-rounded engineer because I'm not stuck at my desk 24/7.
So with your role, are there any challenges that you faced?
I think the first challenge I faced was imposter syndrome. As someone who comes from a non-computer science background, sometimes I question whether or not I'm supposed to be in my role. But I guess the way for me to kind of overcome it is just seeing the work that I do and just getting that feedback from my team saying I'm doing a good job, and also just telling myself I'm amazing. As I've been working as an engineer for almost 2 years, I think I've gotten much better at being able to manage my time as an engineer and also manage my time doing project management.
Let's say I'm your younger self, or let's say I'm someone that's trying to transition into a different role. What advice would you give? Maybe top 3.
Try everything and don't be afraid to kind of quit if you find it's not for you. No one's going to stop you. No one's there to shame you. Network genuinely, like actually go out and like try to be friends with people. Don't just network because you feel like, oh, I have to network, or this person works at X company, I need to be their friend. Or build up a network of other engineers and also people that are not in the tech industry, so you can kind of like move to different industries as an engineer. Reverse engineering like job roles. Look at current like job roles and see what kind of skills they need, and then start to learn those skills, and then that's how you'd be able to kind of know that you're hitting the mark of like the job description that you're applying for in the future.
I love that advice, especially reverse engineering. We was talking about, boot camp that you did. What would you say in relation to upskilling our 3 skills as an engineer?
Communication, because you're always communicating with other people. Collaboration, because you're collaborating in a team, you're usually not working by yourself. And problem solving. A lot of engineering is being a good problem solver and being able to kind of persevere.
You've just mentioned about networking. With networking, what tools do you use to network and stay connected with these people?
A lot of networks are kind of online these days. There's a company called Code Bar, and they have a Slack channel that allows people who are trying to get into the tech industry to kind of be together virtually and kind of like motivate and help each other to kind of get their first role in tech. Or Black Valley, again, they do something very similar, helping people who want to get into tech. So not just engineers, people who want to be a product manager, UX designer, physical events as well. Any kind of like meetup websites, for example, Meetup or Eventbrite, and just kind of like see if there's any tech events where you can go out and actually meet people.
And in regards to these spaces, Tower Hamlets in particular, what role does community have in your tech industry?
Getting into tech now isn't just based on your borough. It's actually now virtually, and if you have internet access, you can get into tech.
Tell me something about your job that most people don't know of.
Something people don't know is actually that you have to continuously develop yourself as an engineer to kind of stay at the top of your game in the tech industry. Most companies want you to continue developing. Being an engineer is basically being a lifelong learner. So yeah, that's something people don't really realize when they get into this industry.
As a dancer, do you feel like that creative outlet helps with problem solving, as you mentioned earlier?
Being a dancer, you express yourself, and it allows me not to be scared to express myself at work. I guess I'm not scared to kind of express, okay, we're having this disagreement, or we don't have the answer to this, how can we solve this? And I'm never afraid to kind of put my hand up to do things. I'm never afraid to say like, hey guys, we're not really on track to release this before the deadline. Dancing has helped me not to be afraid of expressing myself.
And super inspiring, super helpful, and I've personally learned a lot about your role. So I hope everyone else who's watching right now, that you guys have all learned something new about being an engineer, and hopefully that will give you insights into how, if you wanted to transition, how you transition. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Peace.
This video has been presented by Lift and Good Growth Hub, supported by Mayor of London, in partnership with Camden, Hackney, Islington and Tower Hamlets Borough Councils. Creative direction and visuals by Walk with Amos and Us Man Dare. Lift supports people from underrepresented backgrounds living in Camden, Hackney, Islington and Tower Hamlets to find jobs and training in the tech, creative and science sectors. For more information, visit www.liftfutures.london.